Hello everyone, we're in Pirkei Avot, 3rd Parak, Mishnah 3. Let's get right to it. Rabbi Shimon says, Shlosha she'achlu al shulchan echad, ve'lo amru alav divrei Torah, כאילו אכלו מזבחי מתים, שנאמר, כי כל שולחנות מלאו כיצוע בלי מקום. Rabbi Shimon says, if three have eaten at the same table and have not spoken words of Torah there, it is as if they have eaten of offerings to dead idols, as it is said, for all tables are full of vomit and filth, without makom. ArtScroll translates this as the omnipresent. Seems like the Maharal understands this as makom, as in place. We'll comment on this. However, שלושה שאכלו על שולחן אחד ואמרו עליו דברי תורה, כאילו אכלו משולחנו של מקום שנאמר, וידבר אליי זה השולחן אשר לפני השם. Okay, however, if three have eaten at the same table and have spoken words of Torah there, it is as if they have eaten from the table of the omnipresent, as it is said, and he said to me, this is the table that is before Hashem. Okay, so there are a few questions we can ask, and we'll really be deferring to Maharal here pretty much completely. And he starts off with, what we've kind of seen this similar Mishnah before. Mishnah number 2 said, we may as well just quote it. שניים שיושבים ואין ביניהם דברי תורה, הרי זה מושב לצים. אבל שניים שיושבים ויש ביניהם דברי תורה, etc. We get the point. We've seen this before. So why the reiteration? What's the difference between 2 people and 3 people? Why do we need to kind of go over this Mishnah again? Moreover, what's with the differences? The Maharal keys in on this. And then another question he asks is, what's the connection between zivchei metim and this like this vomit and filth, excrement? These seem to be disconnected. Again, what the Mishnah says is, the 3 who sat together and did not speak divrei Torah, כאילו אכלו מזבחי מתים, שנאמר, כי כל שולחנות מלאו כיצוע. So what's the connection between zivchei metim and kietzua? Why does one translate into the other? Now, the Maharal has, again, a longer commentary here. We'll just pick where we think it's most appropriate. He speaks about this melech basar v'dam, right? There's a difference between God and melech basar v'dam. That's a common term, especially in Chazal, that a flesh and blood king, as an immortal king, right? A king who's human. He's responsible for providing for the physical needs of his people, right? However, the melech elyon, right? God, the king above, who created both the body and the soul, was responsible for 2 elements. He's responsible for the body, to feed it, to supply its physical needs, and the soul. Now, it's important to realize this because a body with no soul is no good, right? A body with no soul is dead. That's a corpse. And therefore, right when Hashem came to rule over us as king, he gave us the Torah. But before he gave us the Torah, he provided us with manna, right? If we look towards the end of the Parsha Peshalach, which is actually coming up in only a few short weeks, after the Shirat Hayam, we see afterwards Hashem gives us the man. And then right after that is Parsha Yitro, and that's where we receive the Torah. So very interestingly, God provides us, again, both with our physical needs and with our spiritual needs. And that, says the Maharal, is why it is so chashuv to speak divrei Torah at one's table. Because we have the physical sustenance we're eating right now. But now we need to connect the body to the soul. The way we first experienced with Hashem, with the manna and Matan Torah, right? But we stood at Sinai. And in that way, we connect our table and make it Hashem's table. We've elevated our entire meal to connect both body and soul the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did. But when we do not say divrei Torah, all we're acknowledging is the body. And just like we said before, a body with no soul is a corpse. That's a dead person. That's a met. Now, we can ask, why 3 people? And Maharal does ask this. Why do we need to emphasize this with regards to 3 people? Why not just 2? What's the difference between 3 and 2? So the Maharal, amazing, he actually takes this in a geometric fashion. You cannot make a table, an entity, with just 2, as in with just 2 units. If you take 2 lines, and he literally draws this out. He literally makes like this. This kind of triangle minus one side. That's not a unit, right? That's not an entity. That's not a closed figure. To create a geometrically closed figure, you need to have 3 lines. Once you have 3 lines, you've now formed a triangle. There you go. Now you've effectively created this unit that was not there before. And moreover, the Maharal continues to go. He's like, if you just have two forms of units, they're usually at opposite ends of the extreme. You have black and you have white. There's no point of connection here. These are just two completely different ends of the spectrum, and that's that. But, says the Maharal, if you enter a third option, a different color, now there's a spectrum. It's not that these two things are just complete opposites. You now have one thing that effectively creates a tziruf. It creates a whole. Now it's a unit. It's a composite entity. And that's true generally. Maharal doesn't say this, but with medians or with averages, once you do that, you've effectively kind of created a system, if you will. There is something, that third unit actually creates a whole entity. And that's also why the Maharal says, well, we actually say a zimun when you have three people. Again, when we have Pirkei Mazon, there could be a whole group of people together, but if again you need three men to say zimun, or three women if they're alone, you need to have three. If you only have two, it's not good enough. You can't make a zimun. Once you have three, suddenly we have a chiyuv of a zimun, because that creates a tziruf, says the Maharal. And he moves on, and he says, now with regards to speaking Torah with three people specifically, Maharal says, and this is, I'm sure we've spoken about this before. It's a pasuk in Hallel. It's in Tehillim that we say in Hallel, right? Hashamayim shaman Lashem, ve'aretz natan livnei Adam. Right? God gave the aretz to Bnei Adam, but then later we say that we're meant to effectively elevate the earth to Hashem. It is fitting that everything be for Hashem. And so when three people do not speak Divrei Torah at the table, effectively that table that should unite us with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and should be elevated to Hashem creates a separation from Hashem. And whenever there's a separation from Hashem, that creates a tilting towards Avodah Zarah. Now, Zivchei Meitim is another way of referring to Avodah Zarah. This is brought out through Psukim. If you have questions, by all means, please shoot me an email. You can find me on LinkedIn. And chances are you probably also know me, but either way, Ophir Tzubari, by all means, please reach out. But so, you see, Zivchei Meitim is effectively offering a korbanot to Avodah Zarah. Now, the reason why Zivchei Meitim are called vomit and dung, right, is because the pasuk is relating them one to the other, because korbanot are like vomit. Sorry, korbanot to Zivchei Meitim to Avodah Zarah are like vomit. What is vomit? Says the Maharal. This is such an amazing how he just takes such a kind of like this biological response. He says, if I'm just throwing out a foreign substance, right? When you eat something and you're getting generally food poisoning, right? You eat something, then your body rejects it. It's disgusting and just wants to chuck it all out. And that's what Avodah Zarah is. Avodah Zarah is Avodah Zarah. It's weird. It's strange. It doesn't belong. It's foreign, and therefore it just gets ejected. So similarly, korbanot to Avodah Zarah is giving presence to that which is foreign. It does not belong. Though it's not where it's supposed to go, it'll bounce right back. And that's why, if we take a closer look at our Mishnah and really the pasuk that it quotes, what does it say? It says something amazing. It says, so three who sat at one table and did not speak Divrei Torah is keilu achlum zivchei meitim. It's as if they ate from the offerings to the dead. Shene'emar ki kol shulchanot malu kitzua bli makom, with no makom. Makom is one of God's names. Makom also means place. It has no place. It doesn't belong anywhere. It's like sending an email to an email that doesn't exist. It's just going to bounce back. Or even so, it could be like, say, submitting, if a person needs to submit some social security information and they don't go to the social security office, they send it to the Department of Motor Vehicles, or they send it to the IRS. You know what that government branch is going to do? It's going to send it right back. It's going to be like, wrong department, buddy. Sorry, pal. It's just going to get rejected because you're offering your paperwork or whatever it is you're bringing to us doesn't belong here. You've sent it to the wrong address. So that's effectively what a korban is to Avodah Zarah. It's bli makom. It has no place. It's like vomit. It just gets ejected. It gets thrown out. That is in contrast to when three people sit together and they speak Divrei Torah. What does the Mishnah say? Shlosha she'achlu al shulchan echad ve'amru alav Divrei Torah keilu achlu mishulchano shel makom. It's as if eating from the shulchan of makom, of the omnipresent, of God. Why doesn't it just say HaKadosh Baruch Hu? It's keilu achlu mishulchano shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Look at the pasuk. Shenemar ve'daber elai za shulchan asher lifnei Hashem. So it quotes God's name. Why doesn't the Mishnah do the exact same thing? Because Chazal is trying to tell us, no, this korban, it has a place. It has a place because the whole world is God's place. When we're able to take our table and elevate it with Divrei Torah, especially when the three people, first, another amazing diuk he actually creates, he notes, is just one final note. The difference between not speaking Divrei Torah, the pasuk there, right, which is just vomit, what does it say? He called shulchanot, plural, malukitzu abli makom. All these pluralities, there's all these different things that don't necessarily connect to each other. But aval shlosha she'achlu al shulchan echad, on one table. The one shulchan v'kodesh baruch hu shenemar v'yidaber elai zeh hashulchan asher lifnei Hashem. That there's one shulchan before Kodesh Baruch Hu. And Maharal comments on this, but I'll admit I didn't fully understand it. His comments about the single shulchan and the connection to the Mizbeach. But we'll leave it over there. Thoughts to consider, and we'll see you next time.